It basically started, the idea started back in actually in year 2000 when I started having an idea to put together a more consumer-oriented, heavy metal band. And then I started with other things. Mike Wheat started with some things, and then we took the whole thing up again, and I contacted Michael Denner, and everything was obvious that, okay, of course we're doing this. And then we found Martin, Bjarne was there, Hal was there, same city, so it was very natural.
All of you are Copenhagen based.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that makes it so more, easy to communicate and rehearse and all that.
Actually, it was kind of easy to get. It was very clear which members would be in this band. Actually, from the very beginning, Of course, me and Hank. That was quite obvious.
Classical double.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I've been away for such a long time. Actually, I have a 7 years absence from heavy music, and so it was for the first time in 7 years, I had some time to spare. And it was quite natural for me to. When Hank came with the suggestion, and with Martin it was quite easy because there were several singers who were interested in getting the job, and the first singer I heard was Martin, and I was so sure it should be him. It was very easy to make that choice.
What kind of musical direction did you want to get? Was it clear from the word go that you were going to do a metal band or in that direction?
Because several of the songs were written, I had these in my drawer, and Hank had a lot of songs also, and they were kind of a similar style, and I mean this is a thing in your blood, the records you've been hearing all these years, and your career. The music you played, so it was quite natural to continue playing the music you like. Yeah.
Would you describe the style as classic metal, or what do people say about it?
I will call it classic metal, but people can call it what they want. But for me, it's more classic. Classical. The compositions composing are very, like the old traditional heavy metal started by Judas in the 70s. So kind of. From there, and then all the palette of colors in writing is in there. But
I call it old school metal. When people ask me what kind of style we're playing, I say this is old school metal because the term classical metal is more like in the vein of Inge Malmsteen and stuff with the classical parts in it.
Classic.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
but old school metal in my book, like Priest, Maiden,
But what do you guys listen to when you're at home? Is it metal, or do you listen to a kind of a varied style of music?
It's mainly metal, but the oldest things, old Sabbath, Purple, Zeppelin, early Priest, UFO, all these
newer stuff.
Yeah, but not that much. Even though I run a shop in Copenhagen selling records, so I'm very close to what's happening in music. But I think most of the records I buy for myself are with my old favorite bands, So I think they're not much classical heavy metal music these days, with the riffing and soloing and clear voice singing. And that's the music I prefer, So I stick to most of the old stuff. Really.
How about Martin?
Of course, I'm more into new stuff, I'm a bit younger, so. But also definitely the old stuff also. But checking out new stuff, seeing how the other bands are doing things, and checking out more kind of a brutal things to get inspired by that, to bring it into this band. So.
What type of bands? Is it the death metal or black metal or new
aggro
metal?
Checking out Testament and stuff like that, and to bring several kind of a vocal things into the music. So I'm a lot into new stuff. So,
Yeah, nowadays I don't listen to that much music, because I did it when, earlier I listened to all these, Judas Priest and all that UFO, but nowadays I really don't listen. But of course I'm aware of what's going on. I, of course, have heard the new Nevermore and stuff like that, and kind of, like Martin told, pick up, the vibes and say, wow, that's pretty aggressive, but I don't like this and that. And
so when you write, you basically don't need an outside influence or element to create yourself.
That was in the beginning when the start of Merciful Fate. I was very influenced by all these, the Priest, of course, and Scorpions, UFO, the songwriting style. But nowadays, I just it comes natural out of my
Stick to
whatever.
the formula.
So it's so I'm not wow. Maybe we should try to do that, but.
I mean that's very important, to stick to what you have in your blood, and
Exactly.
and what comes naturally. Don't listen too much, even though there are great things, outside. Stick to what you have inside. That's
It would be a bit strange to see the guitar team, Denner and Sherman, to have a Pantera sound and
we will never do that.
play these overtones.
Exactly.
It's very important to sound like Dana Sherman, Actually, yeah, that's very important.
Besides that, is there any record or band or event that triggered anything with Force of Evil in the beginning?
Not really. It basically was, when Merciful Fate did the last tour in the US in '99. Then there was a big break, a long break because King was going into his band, and that kind of, maybe got me start, thinking, I can't sit in a couch like this just waiting, for us to start with Merciful Fate. So we need to survive and all that. And being a creative person as I am, I need to, do something. So that's
An outlet.
yeah, kind of, So that was when the idea was formed, in my head. And
How did you come up with the name? It's pretty.
I heard it in a Danish radio. I heard maybe it was a title for some. I heard this guy said Force of Evil, and then wow, I wrote it down. And then 2 years later, we were debating about what should the name for the band, and we couldn't figure it out. I had a lot of other silly names, and then I mentioned this Force of Evil as a song title because and then this the guy who actually invented the name Merciful Fate say, hey, why don't you use Force of Evil as a band name? Say, yeah, and then he said, of course, and then it just was so natural.
Yeah, and there's a lot of interesting things about that name. The first film by Roman Polanski was called Force of Evil. Hanky wrote the song Evil for Melissa, the Merciful Fate album, and Force of Evil. That's yeah. And if you see King Diamond as on center of stage, the evil guy, and me and Hank on each side, Force of Evil. There's a lot of small stupid things you can say about that name.
And it's funny that there's no band haven't picked up that name. That's wow, my God. So we are lucky by that one.
So what have the reactions been to the record this far?
I think more than we hoped for.
More than we expected, yeah.
But the record's been out or you had the record ready for quite a while.
Yeah.
It started that we did ourselves, we pressed 1,000 ourselves just to, okay, why not just do it? And then those 1,000 were sold on the concert in Cleveland. And from there we sold it online only. So and then all the reviews from that has been almost too good. Say wow, something must be wrong here.
Also as a business card, like a business card. Yeah, this is what we represent and stuff. So I think the reaction has been quite overwhelming. I expected something because I heard Hank's songs and Martin's voice and stuff, but it was more than I could hope for.
Yeah, because it would be so easy to turn it down. It doesn't sound like Merciful Fate, and Marty doesn't sing as good as King, and blah blah. You could easily do a lot of bad reviews. But everyone has been really positive about it and see it as what do you call it? A new band, and not like this is this and that. So that's pretty positive.
Also because I feel there's room for riff-oriented solo, guitar solo type of heavy metal band these days. There are not much of these types.
So
You've done this for quite a while. Do you think it's easier these days to be in a band, or is it harder to get the thumbs out and get on with it, or get to it?
yeah, of course, the motivation. When you were, when we started with the early Merciful Fate stuff, we were, very young, and tons of energy, and we rehearsed six times a week. I mean, I have never met a band that ever even got to have that, point there. But nowadays we need a little more, motivation, to do that, But on the other hand, with composing and playing, it's the same as long, when you're on the stage. But of course, you have been doing all the tours and all that. You kind of, oh my God! But the drive is still there, even after that many years.
So in Force of Evil, who's the one that makes the phone calls to kick you guys down to the rehearsal room, and who's the lazy one in the band?
Hank is clearly the one who makes the phone calls. And I mean, I think it's Hal and Bjarne and me, which are the lazy guys. It's because of the things we, of course, because the things we have beside of the music.
Like,
I run my shop in Copenhagen. I'm a single father with a son, and sometimes it can get hard to get in your time schedule to be able to.
That's a big difference when you're in your early 20s or some. You don't have a house, you don't have children, you don't have a work, and all that. You have all your time in the world, and you want to do it. And then people get older, get married, get a house, get too much down payment, get a lot of others. So that's kind of the priority in life changes. So that's the tough part to deal with, because I'm pretty free, in my life. So I'm constantly creative with the band and stuff. So, but it's difficult for everyone to keep my pace, of course. But we try as good as we can.
But you enjoy it anyway.
Oh yeah, very much.
Yeah, I mean, you look pretty pleased on stage, and look like you enjoyed every second standing there on the stage behind you.
That's a must. I mean, if we didn't do that, then we shouldn't do it at all, because that would be instantly spotted. Say wow, and if we couldn't deliver, let's say on the music and the CD, then it would be spotted instantly that it's So we are here because we feel we still can give something, contribute, with the metal, to the metal music,
And also mainly because of the good vibe in the band, on a personal level. It was very important for me when I decided to go back in this business, that it was people I could rely on, because I'm too old for these, all these attitude things and stuff. So it was very important for me to be with people I respect and appreciate. So
it's also, I've been playing with Bjarne maybe many years, since the 80s, So, and I'm with Michael since the late 70s. So it's really a long-term relationship basically, and also with Hal, we've been knowing him since early 80s as well. So it's really like friendship that are very deep, and so that's also something that contributes to the atmosphere in the band.
Yeah, and the motivation also.
And the motivation, of course, to be able to, especially with Hal, because we talked about it, even 10, 15 years ago, to do something together, because we were in the same city, should we do something? But then there has been this with Diamond and Mercy, and so we didn't have the time to do it. But now it seems to fit perfect.
So then you're here to stay for a while anyway, and we can expect more from Force of Evil in the future.
Certainly, we are already way ahead of making the second album, composing. So we are really have a kick out of all this, because like I said, the second show at DVD, and we go to Greece, and so we get that's a big motivator, and get good reaction from people.
Nice to have you guys in Stockholm, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Force of Evil!